The silent arrival. The galaxy was vast, filled with thousands of alien civilizations, each proud of their power. For centuries, the great council of species ruled with arrogance, believing no new race could rise without their permission. They laughed whenever the word human was spoken, for to them, Earth was a small and fragile world. Humanity was too young, too reckless, and too weak to matter. At least, that was what they thought. But on this night, the stars themselves seemed to whisper a warning. Something massive moved in the darkness of space, silent, cold, and unstoppable. It was humanity's answer to centuries of doubt, the Titan-class warship. The Titan did not arrive with fanfare. It did not send a warning signal. It simply appeared, sliding out of the black void like a beast awakening from its slumber. Its hull was white steel, larger than any alien ship in the sector, glowing faintly against the curve of Earth below. To the untrained eye, it looked like a drifting fortress. But to those who understood war, it was far more than that. It was a declaration. On the bridge of the alien fleet, sensors screamed with confusion. The alien commanders stared at their screens. The Titan's mass was beyond calculation. Energy readings climbed higher and higher, then vanished completely, as if the human ship had decided the galaxy was not worthy to measure its power. One commander whispered, his voice shaking, "Is that a warship, or a planet disguised as steel?" No one answered. The Titan remained still, silent, watching. It was as if the ship itself had eyes, and it was staring directly into the hearts of those who thought themselves rulers of the galaxy. Back on Earth, leaders and soldiers stood united. Humanity had suffered wars, disasters, and centuries of struggle. But they had also learned something no alien could understand: the will to rise again, no matter how many times they were struck down. And now, that spirit lived within the Titan. The Council had demanded a meeting. They wanted humanity to kneel, to explain its purpose, to bow before the older races. But instead of words, humanity had sent the Titan. It was not just a warship. It was a message: we are here, and we will not be broken. Alien fleets surrounded the Titan, their ships shaped like blades and wings, bristling with weapons. The void was filled with their presence. Yet in the middle of it all, the Titan remained calm, unmoving, like a mountain standing in the middle of a storm. Some aliens laughed. They thought humanity was foolish to bring one ship against thousands. But deep in their hearts, a seed of doubt began to grow. Why would a young race, with so little history in the stars, walk into the jaws of death without fear? On the Titan's bridge, human officers stood at their stations. Their voices were steady. Their eyes were calm. They had been trained for this moment their whole lives. The commander of the Titan, an older soldier with scars from Earth's past wars, looked out into the darkness. His hand rested lightly on the command console. "They are watching us," he said quietly. "Then let them watch," replied his second officer. No threats were spoken. No weapons were fired. Yet the silence of the Titan spoke louder than any words. It told the galaxy that humanity did not come to beg, nor to bend. They came to endure, to stand tall, even against empires that had ruled for millennia. Minutes passed like hours. The alien ships circled, their weapons armed. One wrong move could ignite a war that would set the galaxy on fire. Still, the Titan waited. The humans inside breathed slowly, their hearts beating as one. The galaxy had expected panic. They had expected humans to talk too much, to stumble, to show weakness. Instead, what they saw was silence. A silence heavier than gravity. A silence that made even the bravest alien captains shift uneasily in their seats. In that moment, the Council trembled, because deep inside, they understood the truth. No race builds something like the Titan unless it has already suffered, already endured, and already decided that survival was not enough. Victory was required. From the dark side of Earth, more human ships began to rise. Smaller than the Titan, but fast and sharp, escort craft formed a wing around the great warship. Their engines lit the sky with blue fire, streaking upward like arrows of light. The alien commanders realized too late that the Titan was not alone. Humanity had sent its heart, its shield, and its sword into space. And now the galaxy would have to answer for underestimating them. Still, the Titan did not fire. Still, the humans said nothing. Silence was their weapon, and it was sharper than any blade. Far across the galaxy, broadcasts of the encounter spread like wildfire. Millions watched, stunned. The words of the council died in their throats. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy stood still. The silent arrival of humanity's Titan was not just the beginning of a meeting. It was the beginning of something greater, something that would change the galaxy forever. The first contact, the alien fleet tightened its circle around the Titan. Hundreds of warships hovered in the darkness, their weapons glowing faintly, waiting for the command to fire. Yet none dared to move first. They had faced countless species before. They had crushed rebellions, erased civilizations, and forced entire planets to kneel. But this was different. This was not fear of numbers. This was fear of silence. The Titan loomed in the middle of the swarm, like a mountain in the middle of a storm. It made no sound, it made no demand, but its presence pressed against every alien heart like an invisible weight. Finally, a voice broke the silence. The alien commander of the lead vessel, a tall insectoid creature with golden chitin armor, sent out a transmission. His voice carried arrogance sharpened by centuries of victories. "Humans," he hissed, "you stand before the Council of the Galaxy. You are young. You are untested. You have no place among the stars. Kneel and we will grant you mercy. Resist and you will be erased." The message spread across the comms. Other alien captains laughed, their voices echoing through the network. They believed it was already over. One ship against many. A child against an empire. How could humanity hope to stand? On the bridge of the Titan, the humans remained calm. Their commander listened in silence, his eyes locked on the alien fleet beyond the windows. The crew waited for his order, but instead of anger, instead of shouting, the man smiled faintly. He tapped the console. A single human voice carried back across the stars. It was calm, steady, and without fear. "We do not kneel." Those 4 words froze the alien fleet. No threats, no rage, just truth. The alien commander's eyes burned with fury. He slammed his claws against his console. "Then you are already dead." At his signal, several alien destroyers moved forward. They fired energy beams into the void, crackling lines of green and purple light that lit up the darkness. The shots did not strike the Titan. Instead, they carved across its path, a warning. The Council expected panic. They expected the Titan to retreat, or at least to tremble. But the warship did not move. It did not even acknowledge the threat. Its shields remained steady, glowing faintly like a second skin of blue fire. The alien commander snarled. "Do you not understand? This is the mercy of the Council. Bend now, or we will crush you." For a moment the silence returned. Then the Titan answered, not with weapons, but with power. The warship's shields pulsed. Rings of blue energy expanded outward, distorting space itself. Alien sensors screamed as their readings went wild. Their systems could not comprehend what they were seeing. The Titan was not only protecting itself, it was bending the very fabric of reality around it. The smaller alien ships shook violently, their pilots struggling to hold formation. Some panicked, breaking rank, scattering into the void. Others tried to recalculate, but their computers only returned errors. The alien commander felt the first hint of fear. This was no bluff. Humanity's warship carried technology the Council had never seen. Inside the Titan, the crew remained steady. They did not fire. They did not boast. They simply showed the galaxy a glimpse of their strength. A warning without violence. The message was clear. If you strike, you will lose. One of the alien captains whispered to the others, his voice trembling. They are not weak. They are waiting. The words spread like fire among the fleet. Doubt began to poison their arrogance. If this one ship could create such terror without firing a single shot, what else could humanity be hiding? The Council, watching from their distant chambers, grew restless. Some demanded the humans be destroyed before it was too late. Others hesitated, whispering that perhaps the humans should be studied, perhaps even respected. But respect was a dangerous word in the galaxy. It meant equality, and equality was something the Council had never given to any race. The alien commander, desperate to reclaim control, ordered another volley. This time the beams targeted the Titan directly. The warship did not move. Its shields flared as the beams struck, lighting up space with blinding energy. When the light faded, the Titan still floated calmly, untouched, unshaken. Not a single scratch marked its hull. The silence that followed was heavier than before. The aliens expected retaliation. They expected the Titan to unleash destruction. Instead, it remained still, as if mocking their efforts. The human commander's voice cut across the comms once more, steady as stone. "You fire and we stand. You threaten and we endure. You cannot break what will not bend." For the first time in living memory, the Council had no reply. Their laughter had died. Their threats had failed. The Titan's silence was louder than their power. Across the galaxy, species who watched the broadcast felt something they had not felt in centuries: hope. If humanity could stand against the Council, perhaps others could too. Perhaps the age of fear was ending. The alien commander clenched his claws, trembling with rage. He could not admit defeat, but he could not deny the truth. Humanity had not come to beg. They had come to prove they belonged, and the Titan had spoken without firing a single shot. This was the first contact, and it had changed everything. The test of power. The galaxy held its breath. The alien fleet floated in silence, their weapons armed, their commanders frozen between rage and disbelief. The Titan had endured their fire without a single scar. Humanity had answered threats with calm silence, and that silence was heavier than any weapon, but silence could not last forever. The Council demanded proof. If humans refused to kneel, then the galaxy wanted to see what they could truly do. It began with whispers. Alien captains sent private messages between their ships. Some urged retreat, others demanded war. The Council itself grew restless, voices rising in argument, echoing through hidden channels across the stars. "They are bluffing," one elder barked. "Show them what true power means." And so the test began. 5 alien warships broke formation, their hulls bristling with cannons. Each was larger than a city, forged in the shipyards of ancient empires. Together, they carried enough firepower to destroy moons. They advanced toward the Titan like hunters closing in on prey. Inside the Titan, the crew remained calm. The commander stood at the center of the bridge, hands folded behind his back, eyes steady on the incoming vessels. He did not raise his voice. He did not command panic. He simply nodded once. "Begin." The Titan came alive. Its hull lit with blue veins of energy, like lightning crawling across steel. Shields shimmered, thicker and brighter, bending space with their hum. Across the alien fleet, sensors screamed warnings again, their systems unable to measure the human ship's rising power. The 5 alien warships opened fire. Beams of energy tore through the void, missiles streaked like burning stars, shockwaves rippled across the battlefield. For a moment, space itself was drowned in light. When the light faded, the Titan still stood, untouched, silent, immovable. But this time, the humans did not remain still. The Titan moved, slowly, like a predator stretching its claws. Panels opened along its hull. Weapons extended outward, sleek and alien to the galaxy's eyes. They were not the clumsy cannons of the old empires. They were something new, something terrifying. The first shot was not aimed at the alien ships. Instead, it was fired into empty space. A lance of pure energy, white, blue, and sharp as lightning, cut through the darkness. It did not fade. It did not scatter. It split space itself, leaving a wound that glowed like fire. Every alien ship saw it. Every commander felt their stomachs sink. That beam had not been meant to kill. It had been meant to show. The second shot came seconds later. It targeted a lifeless asteroid, drifting at the edge of the battlefield. The Titan's beam struck, and in an instant the asteroid vanished, not shattered, not broken, but erased, turned to dust so fine it scattered like smoke. The galaxy trembled. The alien captains froze. Their weapons went quiet. For the first time, they wondered if their fleets, their proud, countless fleets, meant nothing before this single human warship. The human commander's voice carried across the comms. Calm, steady, certain. We do not seek war. But if you bring it, know this. We will not fall. We will not break. We are humanity. We endure. His words spread like fire across the stars. Alien civilians watching the broadcast in secret felt chills. Entire colonies whispered. Soldiers in other fleets shifted uneasily. The image of the Titan standing calm in a storm of fire was burned into their minds forever. But the Council was not ready to admit defeat. Their pride was older than empires, and pride is a dangerous thing. One elder slammed his fist against the Council table. They mock us. They dare to show power in front of the galaxy. End this now. More fleets prepared to move. Dozens of ships aligned their weapons, ready to unleash everything they had. Yet none fired. Fear spread like a disease, infecting every commander. If the Titan erased an asteroid so easily, what would it do to their fleets? To their worlds? In that moment, every alien realized the test was not for the humans. It was for them. The Titan had shown restraint. It could have destroyed them. It could have unleashed chaos. But it chose not to, and that restraint was more terrifying than any weapon. On the Titan's bridge, the human crew worked silently. Their faces were calm, their hands steady. They did not cheer. They did not boast. They understood the truth. Strength was not about destruction. Strength was about control. The alien commander of the fleet tried to speak, but his words faltered. His crew looked at him with fear in their eyes. For the first time in centuries, a commander of the Council felt powerless. The Titan drifted forward, slow and steady, its massive hull casting a shadow across the alien armada. Not a single alien ship moved to stop it. The galaxy had just witnessed the test of power, and humanity had passed without firing on an enemy. The Council trembles. In the grand chambers of the Galactic Council, silence filled the air. Thousands of alien eyes stared at the live transmission from the human Titan. Elders of species older than Earth's history shifted nervously in their seats. They were used to being feared. They were used to their word being law. But now, for the first time in centuries, it was their turn to feel small. The Titan had not attacked. It had not spoken loudly, yet its restraint was more terrifying than destruction. Across the galaxy, entire worlds replayed the image of a single human warship standing against fleets without fear. That image spread like fire, faster than any weapon, sharper than any blade. Inside the council chamber, voices began to rise. "This is a threat to order," shouted an elder with silver-scaled skin. "If humans can resist us now, imagine what they will become in a century. We must crush them before it is too late." Others hissed in agreement. Pride burned bright. The council had ruled for too long to accept defiance, but not all agreed. A feathered senator from a peaceful race raised her voice. "Do you not see? They had the power to destroy, but they chose not to. They showed disciplined control. That is not weakness. That is strength." The chamber erupted in argument. Some demanded war. Others demanded caution. Fear mixed with pride, boiling over until the voices became a storm, and all the while, the Titan remained silent in the void, far away. In their private quarters, alien commanders whispered among themselves. Doubt poisoned their thoughts. What if the humans are not bluffing? One asked. What if that ship is only one of many? Another feared. What if Earth already hides a fleet we cannot defeat? The council elders tried to restore order, but whispers of rebellion spread even among their own officers. For centuries, the council had ruled through fear, but now fear had changed sides. In the shadows, younger species watched with hope. The Karen, once slaves to the council, whispered to each other, "If humans can stand, maybe we can too." Traders on distant colonies began to imagine new alliances. Soldiers who once followed orders without question now hesitated. The Titan had cracked the illusion of council power. Back in the chamber, the chief elder, an ancient being with eyes like molten stone, slammed his staff against the floor. The room fell silent. "These humans are dangerous," he growled. "They must be taught their place." But even as he spoke, his voice betrayed him. His hands trembled. His eyes darted toward the hologram of the Titan. Deep inside, he felt what no elder dared to admit: fear. Because the humans had broken the rules of the galaxy. Every new race that rose was expected to kneel, to obey, to wait for permission. Humanity had not asked. Humanity had not begged. Humanity had simply arrived. On the Titan's bridge, the commander stood calmly, watching the alien fleet scatter and regroup. His crew remained steady, their discipline unshaken. He knew the council was trembling. He knew the galaxy was watching. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly. His officers nodded. They did not need speeches. They understood. Humanity had already changed the galaxy without firing a single shot. The alien fleet still hovered nearby, their weapons armed, but none dared move closer. The test of power had shattered their confidence. The council could command, but their soldiers no longer trusted, and so the chamber of the council echoed with rage and fear. Elders argued, commanders hesitated, and distant colonies whispered of change. The once mighty rulers of the galaxy felt something they had never felt before. They trembled, and all because of one ship, one silent arrival, one act of defiance. The Titan continued its slow path through the void, unshaken, unstoppable, carrying not just weapons, but the will of an entire species. Humanity had shown the galaxy that fear no longer belonged to them. The council could rage. The council could threaten. But the truth was already clear. The age of silence had ended. The age of humanity had begun. The galaxy stood still. The galaxy had not known silence like this in thousands of years. Countless species, across countless worlds, watched the same broadcast. From glittering core worlds to forgotten mining colonies, every screen glowed with the image of a single ship, humanity's Titan. The alien fleets still floated in the void, but no one moved. No one fired. Weapons were armed, shields were raised, but the will to fight had vanished. It was as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. Inside the great chamber of the Galactic Council, arguments had collapsed into whispers. The elders who once spoke with thunder now sat in uneasy silence, their words swallowed by doubt. For centuries, they had claimed power over all. For centuries, they had mocked humanity as weak, reckless, and unworthy. Yet here stood one warship facing them all, and the galaxy could not look away. Finally, the human commander gave his answer. The Titan opened a channel. His voice spread across the fleets, across the council chambers, across the galaxy itself. It was not loud but steady, not angry but unshakable. "We are humanity," he said. "You thought us fragile. You thought us children. But we are forged from struggle. We rise when we fall. We endure when all others break. We do not kneel." The words echoed like thunder in the silence. Across the galaxy, hearts trembled, some in fear, some in awe, some in hope. The commander paused, letting the silence carry the weight of his words. Then he spoke again. "We do not come to conquer. We do not come to beg. We come because we belong, and whether you accept it or not, we are here. The future will not wait for your permission." The council chamber shook with outrage. Some elders shouted, their voices breaking with fury. Others looked away, ashamed, their hands trembling. They had expected threats, perhaps promises, perhaps arrogance. They had not expected calm truth, because truth was harder to fight than weapons. On alien worlds, ordinary people cheered in secret. Slaves on forgotten colonies whispered to one another, their eyes wet with sudden hope. Soldiers watching from distant garrisons felt their chests tighten. For the first time in generations, they saw something they had not seen before, a chance that the Council's grip could be broken. The alien fleets surrounding the Titan began to falter. Their formations broke. Captains argued. Some turned their ships away, unwilling to face a war they knew they could not win. The Titan remained still, glowing with silent power. It did not fire. It did not need to. Its strength was not in destruction but in presence. It was the mountain that would not move. The galaxy realized something that day. Humanity had not come to be another voice in the council. They had not come to bow their heads or to fight for scraps. They had come to change the balance the council could threaten. They could rage, but their time was ending. The human commander spoke one final time, his voice steady as the stars. Remember this day, the day the galaxy stood still, not because of fear, but because of truth. We are humanity, and we are not leaving. And then silence again, but this silence was different. It was not the silence of doubt, nor the silence of fear. It was the silence of history shifting. A silence that would be remembered for centuries, whispered in every corner of the stars. The Titan turned slowly, its escort ships falling into perfect formation. Together, they drifted through the alien armada without a single shot fired. Not one ship dared to block their path. Not one commander dared to challenge them. The galaxy had watched. The galaxy had judged. And in that moment, the galaxy had bowed. Not with words, not with ceremony, but with silence. On distant worlds, children would later ask their parents where they were on the day the humans arrived. And every parent would remember. Every soldier, every elder, every slave, every council member. All of them would remember the day humanity's Titan stood alone. And the galaxy could do nothing but watch. That was the day the galaxy stood still. That was the day humanity began its destiny.